Otokomizu, folks. Otokomizu at its finest. Hose down those bad boys. Give them what they deserve. Sometimes I think you guys like to torture me a little bit on this channel. I like to throw out like challenges from time to time, and most of the time I feel like we probably won't hit these like challenges, but every like challenge that I've done on this channel, we have hit in very fast time. So I've had to do a lot of weird things lately. Of course, we did the Beetlejuice and Ring Fit Adventure video, which admittedly was pretty fun, but I also threw it out there to review some games. Now I'm reviewing Just Dance 2020 because yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. And Jumanji, the video game, because once again, that'll be a lot of fun. But the first game that I talked about reviewing for a like challenge was, of course, Otokomizu, or as we call it on this channel, the Naked Fireman game. And I've been playing this game for quite a bit, and dear God, just dear God, this I don't even know how to explain it. I don't even know really what to say about this game, but really, it's one of the worst games I've ever played. It's up there in contention with WWE 2K18 and Troll and I on the Nintendo Switch as the worst Switch game of all time. So let's just cut the jibber jabber and get straight into Otokomizu because I really don't want to spend any more time on this game than I have to. So I think there's a story in Otokomizu, but the game doesn't really do any sort of job of telling you that. Occasionally, when you select a level, you'll get to a cutscene and you can sort of see what's going on. The gist of it that I have accumulated is that there is a Japanese village that is burning, and there's a bad guy behind it along with his band of ninjas, and instead of calling the local fire department, they call in Mr. Naked Fireman guy, because I guess in these villages, maybe they don't have, you know, a big fire department with a big fire truck, and of course the Dalmatian that will help you out. No, they just have this dude who just shoots out water out of his appendages, out of his hands and out of his feet that will take care of these fires. Now this bad dude that they showcase once in a while is actually a boss fight. He is the 6th level, but I couldn't beat him because, well, we'll get to why in a little bit. So I really didn't get the full gist of the story, but like I said, the game doesn't really tell you much. In between the loading screens, it'll have some text that's just not really translated all that well. There's some spelling errors, some capitalization errors as well, but the gist of it is there's bad guys and they're burning this village and you have to save them. So the gameplay of Otokomizu is basically you are taking out these fire-ridden buildings and taking them out with water and doing it within a time limit. There's a time limit that's in the upper corner of the screen, and this basically tells you how much time you have to put out the fires. So as you're going around the level, you're picking up different little artifacts that are basically called water points, and these water points will allow you to upgrade your character. Now the game does offer some decent customization when it comes to your character because you can unlock different poses by picking up these water points and by taking out fires that are in these levels. The different poses do play into the gameplay aspect of the game because it sort of changes how you move around the levels. When you first start out the game, you only have 2 different poses, one that's sort of like a Rocket Man style pose and one that just has your palms out and you just basically shoot water out of your palms and out of the bottom of your feet. But as you get more water points, you unlock more poses and you can actually do more things with these poses, and it makes the game a little bit easier, I guess, at times, maybe. I don't know. See, the whole problem with Otokomizu is the gameplay of the game itself. It's weird because you can upgrade things like your ability to have more life, but I don't really see the need for it because everything is pretty much based on a timer. There is some combat in the game when the ninjas come along and you have to basically just take them out like you see in this shot here because yeah, this looks like a lot of fun, but really the whole thing is contingent on getting these fires put out before the time limit. And as the level goes on, you basically have less and less time to do it, and the fires continue to grow. These fires will start to explode. The problem is, though, it is damn near impossible to control your character. I have changed up control schemes. I have played this game for a couple hours, and I never felt like I was in full control of my character. Like, there would be flashes of brilliance where I'd be like, okay, I got what's going on. I'm kind of controlling it a little bit, and then all of a sudden the camera would just go batshit crazy and just all over the place, and next thing you know, you're flying into some trees along the level. It just doesn't work out all that well, and the main problem is the game just isn't that fun. Like, there's not a whole lot to do. You're doing the same thing over and over again, taking out these fires that are put in the levels. Now, like I said, there is a boss battle that happens on level 6 of the game, but I can't beat this thing. Like, basically, the boss is this huge giant creature that's walking around the level, and he has fire coming out of both of his palms and on the top of his head. And I guess the consensus here is to take out the fire that is on top of his head and take out the fires in his hand. I was able to take out one of the fires that was in his hands, but the controls just don't allow you to really sort of get a good grasp on the game and feel like you're fully in control. Considering that this character is moving around as well and you're trying to move with him, it just doesn't work all that great. There's also a hyper ability that you can use in this game that you would think would make things easier. Basically, the game just sort of stutters for a little bit, and then you just sort of move around very shakishly, and you can do these huge balls of water to get rid of some of the fires, which is great, but you can't do the hyper mode on the boss battle, so it's just kind of pointless to me, because this is when I actually need to use the hyper ability. This is when I am struggling the most with this game, is when I'm trying to defeat this boss. It's just, oh, it's maddening. It's like, do these controls even work? I've adjusted things in the control settings, and honestly, I feel like it makes no difference whatsoever when I'm playing the game. I don't even know if these controls are necessarily being adjusted. It says they're being adjusted, but I really don't feel like they are, and it's just such a pain in the ass to play this game. So the game doesn't control well at all. It's damn near impossible to move around these levels, but what about the presentation? Is the presentation good in the game? I mean, no, not at all. You might be thinking to yourself, why are you just showing us one level of this game? But I'm actually not. I've shown you pretty much all 5 of the levels that I've completed, along with some of the 6th level. All the layouts for the levels are a little bit different, but they're all the same sort of recycled textures and buildings. You see these same enemies over and over again. You see the same buildings over and over again. There's really no difference in any of the levels, just they're a little bit bigger, and the terrain is a little bit larger, and there's different areas to explore, but it's all the same sort of textures over and over again. I honestly feel like this may have been an asset swap. You remember some of those Wii U games that basically just took basic Unity textures and made them sort of a game? That's how I feel about this game. When you look at things like the text in the game and even the score meter in the upper corner, that looks like very basic stock Unity stuff. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely not really pleasing when you're looking at the game, and it doesn't really give you the feeling that this game had a lot of time and effort put into it. The audio in the game is not good either, because there's only one music track in the game. And it just replays over and over again. There's an occasional ha 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 noise when you pick up items and you take out enemies, but that's it. That's the whole sound of the game. There is no difference in any of the sound in the game. I will say the cutscenes are kind of okay-ish, even though they are few and far between. They honestly remind me of an early Dreamcast game, and maybe that's just some sort of nostalgia talking to me about why I like the cutscene in this game, but the cutscenes are kind of a bit nice. But really, this game just, it doesn't work. Like, and that's the biggest problem with it, is that the game doesn't work. The controls are so slippery and sloppy that you never have full control over your character. And what's really weird about this game is this game originally released on Steam, and on Steam it has like an 8 out of 10 rating, and a lot of people seem to enjoy this game. And I'm almost at the point now where it's like, I don't trust Steam ratings. I feel like every game that's ever been released on Steam has a good Steam rating, unless it's a game that there's like an Epic Store issue where people are like downvoting it and they're like, the Epic Store, I don't want to use Epic Store, I want to use Steam, because this game for some reason has an 8 out of 10 on Steam. Now, of course, we have to come to the final conclusion. Is this the worst game on the Nintendo Switch? So some of the positives of the game is that, yes, it is an indie game. It is a $9 game, as opposed to WWE 2K18, which was a $60 game, and Troll and I, which was either $30 or $40. So they obviously had a smaller budget, and usually I don't like to put indie games up next to, you know, bigger releases like this, but I think in this case, you kind of have to, because the game at its core is just so broken. It doesn't work well, and nothing about the game is really fun. It's probably a little bit more fun than Death Stranding, but as a whole, this game is just an absolute mess. It's so bizarre, and I did laugh at sometimes with some of these poses, because, I mean, the poses are pretty funny. Like, look at the thumbnail of this video. That is a weird-ass pose, and you get additional poses as you get more currency in the game, so maybe that's sort of a reason to keep wanting to play the game, but really, it's just not a good game at all. It feels like a recycled asset flip. It feels like the game was just rushed onto the Nintendo Switch, and if the controls were a little bit better, this could honestly have been like a cult classic style game, where people are talking about this game 3 or 4 years from now being like, yo, you remember that weird ass game on the Nintendo Switch? But the controls just hamper this game so much, they make it virtually unplayable. I've spent way too much time talking about this game and playing this game. I actually have good games to review, but no, I'm sitting here reviewing Otokomizu, whatever the hell it's called, for you guys, because you guys hit the like challenge. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I did this game justice. Probably stay away from it. It's honestly the worst Switch game game I played in 2019, and yeah, that's saying a lot because there's been a lot of questionable eShop games on the Nintendo Switch. But those are my thoughts on Otokomizu. Let me know in the comments section down below what you think of this game. Do you plan on picking it up because you're a sadistic person who likes to torture themselves and play games that don't really work, where the controls are just all over the place and so slippery that it doesn't even work right? Or are you a normal person who's just gonna skip this game and watch the video? And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Be sure to check out other videos on the channel. Hit that like button since I took the time to review this game for you. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.